None of those, I don't see any of those changing. They'll definitely go to Sri Lanka, and against no mystery bowlers that we know of at this moment, I expect them to score runs. Owen Morgan, a little bit like that. I hope they give him another chance because he is an exciting player and he can take the game. He got 30-odd in the second innings in this Test match. Not a big score by any means, but in the context of it, probably 50% of the runs in that middle order. Disappointing for him. But I would give him another chance. But if anyone does go, and who knows, there might be someone that emerges in these one-dayers that pushes him for that number 6 spot. But at the moment, I would give him another go.
He should stay for the simple reason that I don't see anybody better than him. It is a problem for players who have built their reputation in one-day cricket to translate that form into the Test match arena sometimes. I'm thinking of people like Neil Fairbrother in the past who struggled. And I think Owen Morgan needs to sort out how he's going to play, the tempo at which he's going to play in Test cricket. But I saw signs in that final innings in Dubai that he started to come to terms with things. And if you look at the options, you've got Ravi Bopara, who's the next man, the spare batsman, if you like. But England have dropped him on 2 occasions for the kind of problems that they're talking about now with Owen Morgan. And then the young England Lions, maybe with the exception of Joe Root, are all regarded as one-day players first and foremost, rather like Owen Morgan. So Owen Morgan's had a bit of Test match experience now, not a massive amount, but he'll have learned a hell of a lot from this tour, and I think he's a good player. He's had a struggle, but he's a good player and he should stay.
Well, that will have cheered Owen Morgan up. I think the 4 wise men out there giving him a thumbs up and saying stick with him. Are you going to demur? Do you want to get the axe out, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, if we go to Sri Lanka and lose the first Test and the batting's the problem again, I don't know how you can keep sticking with the guys, particularly when you're losing Test matches. I have no problem with keeping with the same team if a guy goes through a trot in a winning side. If the side keeps losing and you keep losing because of the batsman, it's a little bit harsh to keep, you know, particularly when the bowlers, as soon as somebody has a half dodgy spell, they get axed, the bowlers. They'll start looking around and going, well, hang on a second, how's this fair? OK, simple question, axe or not axe? I would give him the first Test match in Sri Lanka.
OK, Alec?
Shootout in the warm-up games, but I'll also throw Stephen Davis into the equation, who's out there as the backup wicket-keeper. I think he should be looked upon as a frontline batter. And that's not wearing my Surrey hat, that's just seeing him play, because he is a serious batsman. So Bopara, Davis, plus Morgan, I'll pick one of those 3 after the warm-up games.
Right, time for another break. When we come back, we're going to lift the gloom a little bit, reflecting on the good things that England did in the series, and that was with the ball.
All gone. Brilliant from Broad.
Yes, that's an early wicket for Anderson.
Poor bowled. Well bowled, Monty.
Was in enforcer mode and just bouncing the bejeebers out of everybody. And people got at him from where we're sitting and saying, for goodness sake, pitch it up. And finally he did, and the penny dropped, and since then he's been a different bowler.
Absolutely magnificent. I think if you think of Glenn McGrath, it didn't matter where he was bowling, which part of the world, what sort of surface it was. If you bowl a good line and length, they're good anywhere. And this is spectacular bowling. Good pace, really very, very good control. Andrew Strauss was able to rely on both Broad and Anderson to keep the run rate down and be threatening at the same time. It was a magnificent performance from the pair of them. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will be very, very pleased about this in England and obviously over there in that squad, because I think Stuart Broad has been one of the great young players, or the great young players to emerge from county cricket in the last 5 or 6 years, and it's just superb that he's now translating all of that talent into consistent performances on the international stage.
Now, you use the M word there, McGrath. Here we go. Both of you played against Glenn. How good is Stuart compared to him? Obviously hasn't had the record as yet, but is he on course to be a McGrath, as good as a McGrath?
Yes, and when McGrath first started, he was a little bit like Broad. He wanted to be an out-and-out quick bowler who wanted to bounce you and have a few words to say. Then he learnt that if you pitch every single ball on a A4 scrap of paper, on the right length, the right line, that's pretty successful. And I think Stuart Broad, after his little bit of a hammering by various critics around the place last summer, learned his lesson quickly and has now just shown what a quality cricketer he is.
The bloke at the other end, of course, Jimmy Anderson as well, also did a fantastic job. Took less wickets than Stewart, but when you consider that he's normally seen of as an out-and-out swing bowler and it swung for about 4 overs, he still did a great job.
It is because he's learnt new skills. Now, whether that goes back to Troy Cooley when he was the England bowling coach, I don't know, but he has just got better and better and better. I think this lad started for England when I was still playing the 2003 World Cup. So he's vastly experienced. He leads the attack. To me, he is now a senior player. And when he first came in, he was a very quiet, shy lad. Whereas now, I understand that he's a voice of the dressing room.
One of the things which slightly surprised me, and like your views on it, was there was very little reverse swing in this series. When you consider normally sort of Pakistan, wazza, wacky,
I know what you mean.
Wacker, we know which one.
We know what you mean.
Start again. Wazzing the lefty and whack on the right.
They used to reverse it everywhere, but there was very little of that.
Yeah, I wonder neither side really got it to go at any point. Umar Gul, who's normally an expert, didn't really get it to reverse. And I wonder whether or not, you know, the outfields were pretty lush. It's you know, it's perhaps they take care of the outfield and have plenty more water knocking around over there in the UAE than perhaps they might have done in Karachi in the past. And the ball seemed to maintain a sort of smoothness that stopped it from reverse swinging. A lot of the bowlers got it to swing naturally, even after sort of 50 overs or so. So a mystery.
Seamers then, and then of course it came to the spinners, and the undoubted highlight in this department was the return of Monty. He missed the first test, was recalled for Abu Dhabi, where he took 1 for 91 in the first innings as the seamers did most of the work and took the wickets. But in the second innings, Monty showed England what they'd been missing for the last couple of years.
Very close. Yes!
It looked straight, the straight line that we talked about from Panesar, and hit him on the knee roll. Reckon that's a pretty good decision. Oh, beauty. He got a beauty in the first innings, Yunus Khan, and he's got another one here. Panesar, a jig of joy as he knocks back Yunus Khan's off stump.
He has bowled beautifully, Monty Panesar. Kept bowling those arm deliveries for 2 overs to Yunus Khan, and this time around went for the turn. Got rewarded for the idea and the execution.
Very close, and given. He got a long stride in. Did he get outside the line? Yep, the captain's going to use up a review. In my opinion, I would say it's hit pad first and then bat. You've got to look at Hawkeye as well, just to make sure it was actually hitting the stumps. And it was. Now, for me, you can't overrule the on-field decision. I'm not being biased, I'm not being one-eyed, I'm just saying the on-field decision was out, and yes, you have to give it out. Well bowled, Panesar. 5 wickets for him. Boy, has he deserved it. Welcome back, Monty.
Another beautiful delivery, seam position, excellent, gloved it straight into the hands of the slip man, and a jubilant Monty.
Oh, bowled. Play for Umar Gul. He didn't. He played for himself, the big slog. And he's lost his middle stump. Well bowled, Monty Panesar. 6 wickets. Destroying the tail, destroying the top order, and too good for Junaid Khan.
I don't think people in the dressing room are going to like that. That's a terrible shot. Umar Gul there looking good, but Junaid Khan decided to take this man on. What I tell you, he was superb, outstanding. Picked up 6 wickets.
Excellent effort by Monty Panesar. Of course, he followed it up in the next Test match, the last Test match, with another 5 or so. That was, what, 12 in 2 Test matches. How much was Monty's success down to the fact that DRS got so involved?
It helped, probably, but to me it was a pace he bowled. That was the big difference. He hovered either side of 90 kilometres an hour, whereas Swan was probably 85. And the Pakistanis were just above 90, so I think it was the pace, and that's why a few of the Pakistanis got hit on the pads, got done for pace, misread the length. We've spoken about England's deficiencies against spin bowling. I don't think Pakistan played it particularly well either. So, but it was the fact that his line was great. Yes, he spun a few, but it was the pace he bowled, and that pace suited those surfaces.
Well, that's the question. Is that what he bowls, or did he just gear it up for that particular surface? Because if that's what he's going to bowl when he gets back here, people will say, well, he's exactly what Shane Warne said. He's just a one-trick pony and he just bowls like that the whole time.
He showed a little bit of variation in the series, but you have to bowl the pace that the surfaces dictate. And over there, he is much more suited on the sort of skiddier, low surfaces with the pace that he naturally bowls than Graham Swann is. Simple as that. Graham Swann, when he comes back home, will be able to bowl the pace that he's bowled out there, which is his natural pace, 82 kilometres per hour, and he will be by far the more effective bowler at home. But in subcontinent conditions, Monty's your man.
Well, it does raise an interesting question, doesn't it? The Panesar success, and that is this. After this tour, who is, or who should be, England's #1 spinner? Is it Monty, or is it Graham Swann? That was a question for Ian Botham and David Lloyd to consider now in Dubai.
Well, for me, Swann is still the #1 spinner, but it's absolutely terrific for England that they've got two quality spinners, and make no mistake, Monty Panesar is a quality spinner. England are very lucky that they can call on him, and it's a captaincy issue as well for Andrew Strauss. Can he work two spinners? And I think what he's shown in this series is that he can. Two seamers, two spinners, and they're both attacking bowlers. We're not saying that Monty Panesar is in there just as a holding spinner. He isn't. He's an attacking bowler, and DRS certainly spinners. England next go to Sri Lanka, so I'm sure it'll be the same plan on low spinning pitches, that England will play two spinners and two seamers. So Panesar is a good addition, and look at his record. He's got a terrific record as a Test match cricketer.
Well, look at the seamers. I mean, the seamers have been magnificent in this trip. A lot of competition for those places. You've got Finn, you've got Bresnan back, you've got these youngsters coming into the one-day side. Tremlett's gone back with an injury. So there's a lot of opportunities. But the two guys, for me, Broad and Anderson, in this trip, you know, to go in with just two seamers is a brave call. But you've gone in, they've trusted these two, they've been fit, match fit, they've performed magnificently, they've kept going, and they've kept the pressure. So when you can rotate two seamers and you've got two quality spinners, it makes it very, very easy for the captain on these pitches. And all credit to the bowlers, they've been magnificent in this series. The pick of them, haven't they? They've been magnificent.
Ian's also mentioned Bresnan there, and we've not seen Bresnan on this tour, but he will be fit, and that is another option when you go to Sri Lanka. There are so many people back home saying, why do we not play five bowlers? Well, the option is that you play five batsmen, wicket-keeper Pryor at 6, Bresnan at 7, and you've then got your five bowlers with your two spinners and two Premier seamers. But do you need five bowlers if it's only 90 overs a day? Evidence would tell you that you don't really, that the fifth bowler doesn't bowl too much, but Bresnan does give England an option.
For me, I can see that. I don't see England doing it in Sri Lanka. I see them going with two seamers, two spinners. And I think there'll be a competition for those two seamer spots, but at the moment the two guys who've got it are in charge, are Anderson and Broad. And you know, one thing I can't work out though is when you come on a tour like this, and at the end of it they say they're undercooked, underprepared, bowlers weren't. No. Bowlers were magnificent. They did all the hard work in the heat. How does that work?
Life is a mystery, obviously. Let's just quickly finish off on the question of the bowlers. Some interesting points made there, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about at the end of the last part about whether or not Morgan should play or whether somebody else should have a go. What would you two do? Would you go with Bresnan fit again, Bresnan in at 7, and you get everything that he brings?
I would like to, but unfortunately they're not going to leave a batter out, having batted as badly as they did over there. So that,
I mean, Bresnan can make us naught as good as